The mausoleum contained 5 tombs for 5 of the Knights Templar, man-size in marble. In front of the shrine was a lectern with a Bible on it. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. It was a rod with a cone and a hook on the end. I guessed it was for snuffing out the big candle in the chandelier. High up in the dome were windows. I guessed they might open them to make it less stuffy in there. On removing the Bible, I found a pattern on the lectern top. Hey! It's a checkerboard! Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. May I ask you something?
You may ask.
Who exactly are these people?
My ancestors. These 5 men were all members of the Templars.
5 ancestors in the order. You must be very proud.
Not 5, 6.
Where's the 6th knight?
He was lost to us.
You lost an ancestor?
It is a family matter. It can have no relevance.
Well, it's connected with the curse of the De Vasconcellos, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I hope you will honor my desire not to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'll leave it for now. Is the Virgin Mary really the right person to be sharing a mausoleum with 5 knights?
You are showing your ignorance, Senor Stobart. The Templars were dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
You certainly know your history.
What's your opinion of the Templars, Senor Stobart?
The Templars? Well, they seem no worse than a lot of the knightly orders.
You are mistaken. Compared to the simpering politicians of the Hospitallers or the brutish Teutonics, the Knights Templar were the embodiment of chivalry. The filthy, money-grabbing French king and his pet pope did a great wrong. A bane settled upon my family at the whim of that self-seeking tyrant.
It was all a long time ago.
Some things don't die. Injustice is one of them.
What's the story with the glass chessboard?
Glass chessboard. Oh, the pattern on the lectern, purely decorative, I'm sure.
There are pieces of glass missing from it.
Oh, it has been like that since I was a girl.
The gaps in the glass chessboard look awfully deliberate.
No, it is ridiculous. What possible significance can it have?
It's part of a chessboard, and the gaps are for...
Senor Stobart, you cannot mean...
This place was built for the Templars. Your chess set is as old as the Templars. It's kind of suggestive, isn't it? I think this must be it. This is what the manuscript is pointing to.
This is extraordinary. Am I to understand that the Templars left a puzzle here? And in all of this time we failed to realize that there was a puzzle?
It was wonderful to watch the Countess change before my eyes.
Right. Well, no time for wallowing in self-pity, eh, Senor Stobart? This mystery has had a good long run, but it ain't here and now.
All those years of fatalism were falling away from her.
Lopez! Lopez! Put that hose down and listen! Go to the house and get my chess set. Yes, the old chess set! Now hurry! My, this is exciting, is it not?
Don't get too excited. This could be a blind alley.
Oh, I do not believe that for a moment.
It's good to see you happy.
Happy? You know, I think I am.
While we're waiting, I'd really like to know what happened here. I mean, the curse and everything?
It all began at the time of the dissolution of the Templars. Don Carlos had already left their ranks to become a scholar.
Don Carlos? Is he the guy who went missing?
Si, but he had reckoned without the local bishop. Their bishop envied us our lands and determined to use the papal edict as an excuse to destroy us. Don Carlos was on one of his scholarly journeys when the Inquisition arrived. When Don Carlos returned, it was to find his loyal manservant slain and his children gone.
They took the kids? But why?
Oh, we will never know. The bishop denied all knowledge of the children's disappearance. But witnesses had seen his men kill the servant who had been charged to protect them.
What happened to Don Carlos?
He swore he'd find his children if he had to go to the edge of the world. He put on his armor and took up his sword and shield and rode out alone. He was never seen again. Ah, Lopez, you have the pieces.
Si, my lady, as you asked.
Por favor, Senor Stobart, would you be so kind?
My lady.
Calm yourself, Lopez. I believe Senor Stobart's motives are pure.
Very well, my lady. My lady seems to trust you.
But you don't.
No, senor.
It fits, Senor Stobart. It fits.
Working quickly, I found which pieces went into which holes. Red pieces in place, the square bases fit onto the white pieces. I just had to figure out where to place them. Bingo! I mean, checkmate.
Senor Stobart, look!
What is that? It's not the Holy Grail, is it?
No, Senor Stobart. It is the communion chalice of the De Vasconcellos, missing for almost 700 years.
Wow! Well, go on.
I cannot. I can hardly believe it is real.
Go ahead. Live a little.
Are you sure? This is your moment of triumph, Senor Stobart.
Sure, I'm sure. The possibility of death traps only occurred to me a few days later.
So the curse of the De Vasconcellos is lifted?
Oh no, the Countess was thrilled to find the lost chalice, but there's still the riddle of the missing knight.
Well, you can forget about that now and get back to finding the Templars' secret.
Actually, I promised the Countess I'd find Don Carlos.
You what?
I can explain everything.
You have got the odds for a withered old Spanish aristocrat?
The Countess entrusted me with the chalice and the quest for her ancestor's tomb.
You're as crazy as she is. Haven't you got enough problems? Khan and the Templars?
It's all part of the same thing. The chalice is important, I'm sure. The manuscript pointed us to the knight, and I have to find him.
What then?
I don't know. But when the knight and the chalice are reunited, maybe I will. This is the chalice I discovered in Spain.
I still can't figure out why the Countess gave it to you. After losing it for all those years, she simply gave it away to a total stranger. She's one prawn short of a paella.
The Countess is a fine lady. You shouldn't compare her with seafood.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something going on between you and that Countess.
Are you serious? She's old enough to be my grandmother. I'd better get back to the quest. I didn't have time to sit around. Excuse me, Father.
Pardon?
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Not at all, monsieur. It will be my pleasure to help you.
How long have you worked here?
Hardly work, monsieur. This is a calling. I have been helping Father Flambert for nearly 6 months now.
I guess you don't know much about the history of this church, then.
Just a little.
You've got quite a shine on that candlestick.
Ah, oui. Anything less than best would be an insult to the Almighty.
I guess so. I never thought of it like that. What do you know about the Knights Templar?
You have come to the right place, if that is your interest. Many of them were executed in the square outside. It was a disgrace to France.
Well, the Pope was right behind it, though.
Clement V was a man of mammon, not of God.
That's kind of forthright for a priest, isn't it?
You think so? It is hard to be sure what happened. It is so long ago.
You must be proud to have such an incredible collection of stained glass.
Pride is a sin, monsieur, but it is hard not to marvel when the light shines through them. It is a fine example of the artisan's genius.
What do you make of this chalice?
It certainly looks very old.
About as old as this church, I think.
There seems to be an engraving on it.
Yeah? What does it say?
I do not know. It is very tarnished. With your permission, I could try polishing it. I promise I will be very careful.
That'd be very good of you.
This shouldn't take very long. Feel free to look around.
Okay, thanks. A statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll. The statue had any secrets. It was concealing them pretty well. On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. Around the base of the disc was a hairline crack. A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. Carrying all that armor around must have been hard work. I didn't recognize the biblical story in it. I was a Sunday school dropout. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. A knight there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world. I guess. I didn't have time to sit around. A row of old pews, beautifully carved and glowing with polish. I thought of all the people who must have sat here over the decades. All those Parisian derrieres, firm buttocks of the young ladies, the flabby flesh of the old men. That wasn't a pleasing image, so I went back to the young ladies. Whoa! The lens fitted into the end of the scroll like a hand into a glove. Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. Hey! The distortions came sharply in the focus. It was a Knight Templar burning at the stake. And below him a date in Roman numerals. A Knight Templar burning at the stake. And a date. Let me see. MCCC That's 1314. Hey, thanks.
It is my pleasure, monsieur.
What was the writing on the chalice?
It was not writing, my mistake. It was a coat of arms. The remarkable thing is that it seems very familiar.
Yeah?
Oui, I think I have seen it on that wall tomb in the far corner. That winged horse is quite distinctive.
Is the right-hand window original?
Oui, monsieur.
Do you speak Latin?
You ask this of a priest?
Okay. Can you tell me what per disciplinum meum lux videbus means?
Let me see. That would be, by my teachings, you will see the light. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Boy, what a shine you got on this.
Merci. It is all in the wrist action.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Now that my attention had been drawn to it, there was no mistake. There was no name on it. But the coat of arms was undeniably the Pegasus of the De Vasconcellos family. I'd found the last resting place of Don Carlos. My eye was drawn to the biblical references carved into the edge of the tomb. Hey, maybe these biblical references mean something. John 4:11. Not much to go on, but it must have meant something. If I examined the tomb more closely, there might be other clues to find. Psalms 22:21. Psalms 32:7. The numbers referred to a chapter and a verse in the Bible. Corinthians 14:5. There are no more references to find, but a series of Roman numerals ran around the plaque. I made a note in case they meant something. Psalms 32:7, John 4:11, Corinthians 1:4-5, and just one more. Psalms 22:21. I may not be perfect, but I've got a memory like a steel trap. The chalice had led me to these inscriptions, but it looked like a happy coincidence to me. After all, the de Vasconcellos arms were already on the manuscript. No, I was still convinced that the chalice had some significance all of its own.